This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Rinkitink in Oz by L. Frank Baum. Chapter 6. The Magic Boat. Prince Inga was up with the sun, and accompanied by Bilbil, began walking along the shore in search of the boat which the White Pearl had promised him. Never for an instant did he doubt that he would find it, and before he had walked any great distance a dark object at the water's edge caught his eye. "It is the boat, Bilbil!" he cried joyfully, and running down to it he found it was, indeed, a large and roomy boat. Although stranded upon the beach, it was in perfect order and had suffered in no way from the storm. Inga stood for some moments gazing upon the handsome craft and wondering where it could have come from. Certainly it was unlike any boat he had ever seen. On the outside it was painted a lustrous black, without any other color to relieve it, but all the inside of the boat was lined with pure silver, polished so highly that the surface resembled a mirror and glinted brilliantly in the rays of the sun. The seats had white velvet cushions upon them, and the cushions were splendidly embroidered with threads of gold. At one end, beneath the broad seat, was a small barrel with silver hoops, which the boy found was filled with fresh, sweet water. A great chest of sandalwood, bound and ornamented with silver, stood in the other end of the boat. Inga raised the lid and discovered the chest filled with sea biscuits, cakes, tinned meats, and ripe, juicy melons. Enough good and wholesome food to last the party a long time. Lying upon the bottom of the boat were two shining oars, and overhead, but rolled back now, was a canopy of silver cloth to ward off the heat of the sun. It is no wonder the boy was delighted with the appearance of this beautiful boat, but on reflection he feared it was too large for him to row any great distance, unless indeed the blue pearl gave him unusual strength. While he was considering this matter, King Rinkitink came waddling up to him and said, "Well, well, well, my prince, your words have come true. Here is the boat, for a certainty. Yet how it came here and how you knew it would come to us are puzzles that mystify me. I do not question our good fortune, however, and my heart is bubbling with joy, for in this boat I will return at once to my city of Gilgad, from which I have remained absent altogether too long a time." "I do not wish to go to Gilgad," said Inga. "That is too bad, my friend, for you would be very welcome. But you may remain upon this island if you wish," continued Rinkitink, "and when I get home I will send some of my people to rescue you." "It is my boat, your Majesty," said Inga quietly. "Maybe, maybe," was the careless answer. "But I am king of a great country, while you are a boy prince without any kingdom to speak of. Therefore, being of greater importance than you, it is just and right that I take your boat and return to my own country in it." "I am sorry to differ from your Majesty's views," said Inga, "but instead of going to Gilgad, I consider it of greater importance that we go to the islands of Regos and Coregos." "Hey? What?" cried the astounded king. "To Regos and Coregos? To become slaves of the barbarians, like the king, your father? No, no, my boy. Your Uncle Rinky may have an empty noddle, as Bilbil claims, but he is far too wise to put his head in the lion's mouth. It's no fun to be a slave." "The people of Regos and Coregos will not enslave us," declared Inga. "On the contrary, it is my intention to set free my dear parents, as well as all my people, and to bring them back again to Pingaree." "Hee hee 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 hee!" "How funny!" chuckled Rinkitink, winking at the goat, which scowled in return. "Your audacity takes my breath away, Inga, but the adventure has its charm, I must confess. Were I not so fat, I'd agree to your plan at once, and could probably conquer that horde of fierce warriors without any assistance at all. Any at all, eh, Bilbil? But I grieve to say that I am fat, and not in good fighting trim. As for your determination to do what I admit I can't do, Inga, I fear you forget that you are only a boy, and rather small at that." "No, I do not forget that," was Inga's reply. "Then please consider that you and I and Bilbil are not strong enough as an army to conquer a powerful nation of skilled warriors. We could attempt it, of course, but you are too young to die, while I am too old. Come with me to my city of Gilgad, where you will be greatly honored. I'll have my professors teach you how to be good, eh? What do you say?" Inga was a little embarrassed how to reply to these arguments, which he knew King Rinkitink considered were wise. So after a period of thought he said, "I will make a bargain with your Majesty, for I do not wish to fail in respect to so worthy a man and so great a king as yourself. This boat is mine, as I have said, and in my father's absence you have become my guest. Therefore I claim that I am entitled to some consideration as well as you." "No doubt of it," agreed Rinkitink. "What is the bargain you propose, Inga?" "Let us both get into the boat, and you shall first try to row us to Gilgad. If you succeed, I will accompany you right willingly, but should you fail, I will then row the boat to Regos, and you must come with me without further protest." "A fair and just bargain!" cried the king, highly pleased. "Yet, although I am a man of mighty deeds, I do not relish the prospect of rowing so big a boat all the way to Gilgad. But I will do my best and abide by the result." The matter being thus peaceably settled, they prepared to embark. A further supply of fruits was placed in the boat, and Inga also raked up a quantity of the delicious oysters that abounded on the coast of Pingaree, but which he had before been unable to reach for lack of a boat. This was done at the suggestion of the ever-hungry Rinkitink, and when the oysters had been stowed in their shells behind the water barrel and a plentiful supply of grass brought aboard for Bilbil, they decided they were ready to start on their voyage. It proved no easy task to get Bilbil into the boat, for he was a remarkably clumsy goat, and once, when Rinkitink gave him a push, he tumbled into the water and nearly drowned before they could get him out again. But there was no thought of leaving the quaint animal behind. His power of speech made him seem almost human in the eyes of the boy, and the fat king was so accustomed to his surly companion that nothing could have induced him to part with him. Finally, Bilbil fell sprawling into the bottom of the boat, and Inga helped him to get to the front end, where there was enough space for him to lie down. Rinkitink now took his seat in the silver-lined craft, and the boy came last, pushing off the boat as he sprang aboard, so that it floated freely upon the water. "Well, here we go for Gilgad!" exclaimed the king, picking up the oars and placing them in the row-locks. Then he began to row as hard as he could, singing at the same time an odd sort of song that ran like this: "The way to Gilgad isn't bad For a stout old king and a brave young lad, For a cross old goat with a dripping coat And a silver boat in which to float. So our hearts are merry, light, and glad As we speed away to fair Gilgad." "Don't, Rinkitink, please don't. It makes me seasick," growled Bilbil. Rinkitink stopped rowing, for by this time he was all out of breath and his round face was covered with big drops of perspiration. And when he looked over his shoulder, he found to his dismay that the boat had scarcely moved a foot from its former position. Inga said nothing and appeared not to notice the king's failure. So now Rinkitink, with a serious look on his fat red face, took off his purple robe and rolled up the sleeves of his tunic and tried again. However, he succeeded no better than before, and when he heard Bilbil give a gruff laugh and saw a smile upon the boy prince's face, Rinkitink suddenly dropped the oars and began shouting with laughter at his own defeat. As he wiped his brow with a yellow silk handkerchief, he sang in a merry voice: "A sailor bold am I hold, but boldness will not row a boat. So I confess I'm in distress, and just as useless as the goat." "Please leave me out of your verses," said Bilbil with a snort of anger. "When I make a fool of myself, Bilbil, I'm a goat," replied Rinkitink. "Not so," insisted Bilbil. "Nothing could make you a member of my superior race." "Superior? Why, Bilbil, a goat is but a beast, while I am a king." "I claim that superiority lies in intelligence," said the goat. Rinkitink paid no attention to this remark, but turning to Inga, he said, "We may as well get back to the shore, for the boat is too heavy to row to Gilgad or anywhere else.